more chairs.
Okay.
But we're already well over 400. So as far as standing room?
I'm Henry Fortunato, Director of Public Affairs at the Kansas City Public Library. Tonight we have a major event. The General Editor of the Mark Twain Papers from the University of California, Berkeley, Dr. Robert Hirst, will be here to talk about the new 100 years in the making, unexpurgated version of Mark Twain's autobiography. We also have a special introduction going on. The First Lady of the State of Missouri, Georganne Nixon, will introduce Dr. Hirst. About 4 or 5 months ago, July of this year, the NAACP had its annual national convention in Kansas City. So that's when I met the governor and his wife, and I asked them if they were fans of Mark Twain, and of course they are. They're both native-born Missourians. And so I mentioned that we were negotiating, we were planning to get Dr. Hirst in to talk about the new version of the Twain autobiography, and I asked them if they might be interested in joining us.
Perfect.
Right here.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, there's one here. Where
He just disappeared.
Oh.
You're all a member of one party, of one church, of one literary sect, the party of the lovers of Mark Twain and Missouri's literary heritage, and therefore I invite our First Lady to join us.
It is such an honor and pleasure to be here tonight to celebrate this momentous literary event, the publication of the first volume of Mark Twain's autobiography, a century after his death. We are so grateful that Missouri is able to host this gathering, and that the library has brought our main speaker here tonight from California, the noted Twain scholar, Robert H. Hirst.
I have to tell you, this is the largest group I've talked to ever. I want to thank Mrs. Nixon for that wonderful introduction. It reminds me, sort of by inversion, of Mark Twain's report of the way he was once introduced. He was in a little mining town in California, a town that was no longer in existence, actually. Of course, no one knew him in this town, and no one knew how to introduce him. But he tells us that an introduction was nevertheless produced, gravely, by a slouching and awkward big miner in the village of Red Dog. The house, that's you, very much against his will, forced him to ascend to the platform and introduce me. He stood thinking a moment and then said, "I don't know anything about this man. At least I know only two things. One is, he hasn't been in the penitentiary. And the other is, after a pause, almost sadly, I don't know why." And at my request, she summoned the messenger, and we sent that card at once to the mail on its way to Mrs. Clemens. I'm delighted to answer questions.
I'm Westman O'Neill.
I don't think Mark Twain has ever lost his relevance. I mean, really, I think from the day he started writing, it seems like he's always been a mainstay of American literature.
I thought it was really fun. I didn't know a lot about Mark Twain before, and I just started reading Huckleberry Finn in school, so it's kind of cool. This one quote from him I've heard is, "When you're mad, count to 3. When you're very mad, swear." So, you know.
Okay, well, I guess we're done, and do it again 3 times next week.